Touchdown! Kansas City! Damian Williams runs to immortality and will be remembered forever in the Chiefs' kingdom.
The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
Welcome in to the Brawl Network podcast. Here's your host.
What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are ready for another edition of the Daily Brawl Network podcast. I'm joining Jay today, just myself, Tim Rodriguez. Brett couldn't make it today. We miss him dearly, but we are ready to get into some topics.
Okay, I'm here now. My mic was turned down from something I was doing in studio earlier, and it was confusing. So, yeah, you didn't get your normal introduction there. That's all right. Tim, you got it, right? You got it.
Felt good to do it. Felt really good.
All right. You got a lot to get to. You got another one of these awesome Tim Rodriguez rundowns for tonight, and we don't want to waste any time because otherwise we end up wasting your hard work, and we're not going to try to do that because there's already probably going to be a limited amount of time to get to everything you planned for the show tonight. And I know we miss Brett, but damn, man, there's a lot to get to, dude. You must have had some Cheerios, ate your Wheaties, had some flapjacks. You was feeling your oats when you put in your work today. So take it away, Tim.
The sports world never fails to give us an abundance of topics. I will tell you that much.
No, that is for sure, and it's clear by the multitude of things on the rundown tonight. My Lord.
So I guess we should start with the unfortunate news about Derwin James, star safety for the Los Angeles Chargers. And we will not get to see Derwin James play football for the second straight season. And I'm really bummed out about it. What about you?
Yeah, and it's because it feels like we're getting more teas than results from this kid because we got the all-pro rookie year, and then it's back-to-back, only 5 games last year and probably none this year, So it is disappointing because, here's where I'm at. I grew up a diehard Packer fan, Tim, but the older I've gotten and the more I do with the Brawl and the more I stretch out and do this show and meet you guys and the more I've just learned through the game from everybody else I've gotten to meet through this business and industry, the more I appreciate just good players wherever they play, and the more I enjoy watching them all. And that's why last year, for the first time with NFL Game Pass, I watched every game every week. That's what I spent my week doing, was going through Game Pass and watching all the games from every team, because there's a lot of great players out there, and he's one of them. They'll miss him, and just casual fans of just the league itself will miss being able to watch his play on the field.
I think they could survive the injury because they do have a lot of defensive backs on that roster. They're a team that prioritizes defensive backs a lot. But what's going to be really interesting is this is the end of year 3 of his career, and he was a first-round pick. So at the end of year 3 is where teams have to decide whether or not to pick up that 5th-year option. And starting with the 2018 draft with the new CBA, the 5th-year options have changed. You would get more money and guaranteed salary for that option based on the accolades you have. And he doesn't have as many as, let's say, Quentin Nelson was in that draft. He's got he's going to have like 3 All-Pros, 3 Pro Bowls, but he does have a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro already. So just that, I think that'll put him somewhere. His 5th-year option is going to be like a top 10 paid safety for that year. So the Chargers would really have to evaluate, can we trust him to stay healthy from here on out?
Yeah, and here's one of the weird things, and I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, but it always feels like when you get a really good player, and I always use the Packers' Casey Hayward back in the day, who happens to be a Charger now, right? He has a great rookie year, and then his next 3 years are good when he's on the field, but he's missing 8+ games a year, and they decided to let him walk, and he hasn't missed a game, I don't think, since you know what I mean? And he's like damn near an all-pro. And I think those are what I call GM nightmares, because it feels like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You re-sign the guy, the injury bug stays. You let him walk, he goes somewhere else, and the talent you clearly knew that he had from the reason why you drafted him, somebody else gets the benefits of a healthy version of that talent.
And they invested a first-round pick in him, so you don't want to lose out on the great player and the first-round pick, because there was a lot of great players in that class in 2018.
Yeah,
we saw pick 32 was Lamar Jackson. And at the time, Phillip Rivers was what? 34, 35. You could have been considering a quarterback at that time. There were 5 quarterbacks going the first round that year, and they really liked Derwin James.
Yeah, and they were justified. It wasn't like they were, like everybody thought they were crazy for taking him. He's a consensus pick. Yes, he was a consensus pick, so that's not the problem. But that's the conundrum you get put in with these types of players with this type of injury kind of riddled going on. That's what I said. They're a GM's nightmare, man. There's just no other way to easily describe it. I wouldn't want to be that guy having to make that decision in that room, quite honestly. I have enough stresses in life that are much lower level consequence decisions that stress me the hell out. That would probably give me a heart attack and much more gray hair.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough decision. And the Chargers made another really tough decision today. They've officially announced that Tyrod Taylor is going to start week 1 at quarterback against the Cincinnati Bengals. He beat out rookie Justin Herbert for that position. And I think this was one of the least surprising quarterback battles. I think because of everything that's happened this offseason and the limited camp, we kind of all expected that Joe Burrow was the only rookie quarterback that was going to start week 1, because Cincinnati has absolutely nothing else in that room. It's a bunch of other unproven guys. So when do you foresee Justin Herbert playing? Because I think it's going to be fairly early, because they have a team in Los Angeles. And I think if they lose some games, they're going to be some clamoring for Justin Herbert from the higher-ups in the organization.
I think Tyrod Taylor, if you look at his career history in these situations with him, every other time, except for the exception with the stubborn Hugh Jackson in Cleveland, he's literally been a 5-week quarterback, and then no matter what, they pull him out. I think the last time this happened to him, he had a winning record, and he got pulled out for the rookie quarterback that they drafted in the first round. I just believe that Herbert will be better than Burrow immediately this season. I think Burrow is a bust. I've said that 1,000 times. I think his arm talent is very suspect. I think his highlight reel is full of short, off-target throws that receivers and other playmakers made for him that he will not get away with and will expose him very quickly in the league, especially in the swirling winds of Cincinnati, right, in that stadium. But I also believe that the best quarterback, if he's healthy, the only guy that's going to be at an all-pro level is the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa. You watch the college.
You heard that? Tua's coming.
Because, look, and the injury is a big one. The injury factor is a big one, again, with him. But I think he's a hard enough worker. I think he's young enough still. I think that getting in the NFL right when he's in the most critical part of his rehab process instead of being in college is going to lend in the beneficial side to him. Watch the college, guys. Come on. Had he been completely healthy, Tua would have went number 1 overall, and Burrow probably would have been number 3. Let's be real, because I don't believe that L.A. was a Burrow guy. I think they like Tua or Herbert personally. So I think that you flip-flop that, and Tua was undoubtedly last year. It was tank for Tua, wasn't it? It wasn't tank for Burrow, it wasn't tank for Herbert, it was tank for Tua. Why? Because we all
didn't even do it right.
Right, and we all saw that on a national level, he was clearly the best quarterback in the nation coming out for that class, right? So
just look at the numbers. He's the most prolific passer in college football history.
So the Joe Burrow's one of those guys that if you follow the Bill Parcells rules, he's absolutely screams bust. Not enough starts, too big of a jump in statistics with the talent around him. Watch the tape closely. Not enough of the talent, and I think Parcells would agree with this statement. When you hear scouts and analysts constantly refer to somebody's moxie, like you never heard about Aaron Rodgers' moxie, did you? You didn't hear about Brett Favre's moxie or Peyton Manning's moxie or Tom Brady's moxie, right? Like you know what I mean? Like we don't hear about Ben Roethlisberger's got a lot of moxie. Yeah, we're covering up because we can't talk about his actual talent without exposing us and having to eat that if it doesn't work out. So we'll use these cliche things and he's best college football quarterback season statistically ever in history, and the kid's got a lot of moxie. Great. That doesn't equal wins. Like I said, Chad Pennington had a lot of moxie. Kid down in the Texans back in the day had a lot of moxie before he became the pick six king. Like
Mark Sanchez had some moxie.
Right. Like that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I'm sorry.
Joe Burrow also lost didn't lose. He did win the quarterback competition at Ohio State, but he got hurt. And the guy he was competing against, Dwayne Haskins, got announced the starter today, which if I'm Dwayne Haskins, I'm a little embarrassed that was even a question because the other quarterbacks on my roster are Kyle Allen and Alex Smith, who hasn't played football in 2 years.
Alex Smith probably would have been the starter if he wouldn't have broke his hand. Let's be real. He's a better quarterback than Haskins.
I think by the end of the year, Alex Smith will start.
I think Haskins is a bust too. Go back and watch him. I watched him as a Wisconsin guy. A lot of talent around him and still was wildly inaccurate and seems to shrink when he's another one where he's got a lot of moxie, but he just doesn't seem to be able to rise to that level to get the job done when the pressure is the most. It's not that he crumbles like mentally because he's got the moxie, right? But like I refer to this. I had a fighter that after I retired out of the cage, the kid was a phenomenal athlete, middleweight. Learned everything, everything we taught him. He picked up quicker than we'd ever seen before. Put him in the cage, he'd lose in 30 seconds because he couldn't get it done. And it wasn't because he was scared or anything. It just didn't click when it mattered most for him to get it done, and that's Dwayne Haskins.
I think that opens up an even more interesting topic because we learned last year that the previous coaching staff did not want Dwayne Haskins. And now we've got a whole new coaching staff and a coach that has considerably more control within the organization than Jay Gruden had. Ron Rivera's got control. Ron Rivera's the guy. So what's going to happen this season? They get another 3-win season. They're picking top 3. They're staring Justin Fields in the face. Do they roll with Haskins for another year because he's been put in 2 pretty bad situations? Or do they pull the plug like we've seen other teams do, like the Cardinals with Josh Rosen? They saw he didn't have it in 1 year. Kyler Murray staring at us in the face. It's time to pull the plug. Do you think Ron Rivera would pull the plug on Haskins after a year if Fields is there?
I think if there's another quarterback that they actually believe and he's had enough time to assess him, which I think that's why he's trying to do what he's going to do this year to give him so he can be fair about it and because Ron's not – that's why they call him Riverboat Ron, right? Like he's willing to take a gamble that he thinks is worthwhile when everybody else thinks he's crazy, right? And it's worked out for him, hence his name. So – maybe it's not Justin Fields because I think Justin Fields is another one that you really watch his tape, the arm talent, and some of it just doesn't match up to the rules and what you look for from Parcells. And if you follow the Parcells rule for the most part and look at the quarterbacks that fit into that rule category, like the success rate is so much higher than going outside of that. You know what I mean? So like I kind of like to stick to – I know it's old school. It needs to be modified a bit. Right, but for the most part, it works out. But yeah, definitely. And with the rookie contract scale, financially, there's no reason why you can't make that move. There's no reason to hang on to a quarterback right now that you don't think can get it done. Like there used to be, like the LA Rams being stuck with Captain Brittlebones because he was a $78 million, freaking bonus baby without stepping on the field. Those days are over, so yeah.
Now, we mentioned Josh Rosen, and I'm going to bring something that's not on the rundown because it came out today. We all know I love my Miami Dolphins. And a couple weeks ago, I wrote an article for another website saying it's time to pull the plug on Josh Rosen. And let me tell you something, Jay, the people were not happy.
Why?
I was attacked in so many different ways that I cannot even mention on the show because we get shut down. I was called some things.
Well, I'd imagine. People are volatile when they don't like what you got to say.
Oh, yeah. And the Miami Dolphins fan base loves Josh Rosen for whatever reason. And as we all know today, the team is fielding calls about Josh Rosen. And I just want you to know that I feel very vindicated and I'm having a really good day because they called me a madman.
You should. Well, there's some of us that our genius and greatness won't be recognized truly until after we've passed. So, just take some counsel in those words, my friend, and you'll be okay.
It was just common sense. A lot of teams don't keep three quarterbacks. You got Fitzpatrick, you have Tua Tagovailoa. Neither one of those guys is going anywhere. Josh Rosen's the odd man out. It's just the way it has to be.
Yeah, and sometimes the odd man out, it comes without having a third quarterback, like if you're a Chicago Bears fan and you've got two quarterbacks.
There's going to be an odd man out there.
And Mitch Trubisky and bringing in Nick Foles. Again, you have to start. I don't know about what your opinion is, Tim, but just as a NFC North guy, covering the Packers and being close to the Bears and knowing everything that's going on with them, you have to start Trubisky. But, again, he feels like one of those guys where, like Tyrod Taylor, you've seen enough from him, and if it's not getting done early, I think they play the Packers again early this season, I believe. Or even if it's
they play him early and late.
Right. And so I believe that if they get to that first Packers game this year and he doesn't do well again and he's not done well in the other division games, I think at that point they will pull the plug. And I think that'll be probably somewhere in the 6th week. Unless he takes a gigantic jump. And I don't think Foles is going to help him either, because I think that Foles, more than 6 starts in a year, he crumbles and shows you what he really is too. So I think the idea of bringing him in and really having to play him for 10 games and thinking that's going to get you any more than a 500 record is – the Bears – look, this is another thing. I feel like you, right? When the Khalil Mack thing happened, Tim, I immediately said any team – and the Bears, and this was because the Bears reported being front runners. I think it was the Bears, the Falcons, and the Packers, right? And there was one other team. And the other 3 teams were playoff and, championship contenders. And I said, if the Bears literally go do this, it's a complete waste of the assets they have because they don't have the requisite pieces elsewhere, particularly quarterback, to make this work. Max should be going to a team that has an established quarterback that's already a playoff contender, that, not having a couple of first-round picks in the mid to late 20s, isn't going to kill your franchise, right? And that could literally put you over the top. I got called stupid. I got called all this. And they are in such a cap hell because of and have no pieces around them. Can't go get a quarterback. They're stuck with this. Had to bring in full. All because why? They have no draft capital and no money because of that. Because they did that. They paid Hicks. They paid Goldman. They were forced into paying Robinson and Fuller because a first-year GM in Green Bay signed them to offer sheets, or signed Fuller to an offer sheet. They matched it. It was more than they were going to offer him in the first place, but they didn't want to let him walk to a division. Genius he didn't get credit for, right? And The fact that the Packers were in the bidding for Robinson upped the price tag, so when he went there, it cost him more. So even though the Packers lost out on 3 players, in the end, I told everybody this will literally be addition by subtraction because the Bears wasted assets in places they weren't ready to waste those assets in. And they all said that 1 year, and I said, just wait. And it was a 1-year wonder. So I get what you're saying.
The 2 of us may get fired after this podcast talking about the Bears. But I think the
Bears podcasts out there, Hellas Hall, the Bears Brawl, the Chicago Brawl, the Tailgate Show, the 55 Bears, the Bears podcast, the D-Saw, the B-Saw guys, Bears Chicago this, Chicago that, the Bulls this, that. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I just get caught up when we bring that subject up.
I think everyone in Chicago is in a really tricky situation with this quarterback thing.
Yeah.
I think Matt Nagy is going to be a victim of bad decisions from Ryan Pace because I like Matt Nagy as a head coach. I like the Andy Reid tree. I like what he did in year 1. I think this is what's going to happen. I think Mitch starts the season. Foles finishes the season. Nagy's going to get canned because Pace is going to get canned. Nagy's going to immediately get a head coaching job somewhere else because he's a good football coach. We've already seen the good and the bad of Mitchell Trubisky. The good is okay. It's not bad. He had that 6-touchdown game against Tampa. I don't think you're ever going to see that again. We've seen the good and the bad of Nick Foles. Apparently Nick Foles can only play well in Philadelphia, though.
That's true. Well, you know what's going to happen with Nagy, though? When he gets fired, you know where he's going to get that immediate head coaching job is down in Tampa Bay because their season will not go the way that was thought because Arians wants to run an offense that's 9-9-9 down the field, and that's not what his quarterback does. And he's got all these damn toys, and there will be a lot of disgruntled people down there. It's not going to work out the way that he is. And I always laugh that Arians gets all this credit for being a genius. Like, yeah, he won rings as a coordinator and then got ran out of town because he couldn't get along with his quarterback, right? And then he went somewhere else and he had success there, but ultimately couldn't get the job done. And I mean, like, he's an above average coach, but this idea that like he's this great guy because everybody loves his moxie and personality, okay, great. You keep that. I think Nagy will end up down there because I think Nagy will fit in better with the Tampa Bay's Buccaneers, and they'll actually get somewhere with a guy like Nagy and all those weapons and having to be able to utilize them in the right ways instead of the way that clearly – look at last year. If that's not a sign that Arians couldn't get control and figure out how to make his team the most efficient when his quarterback was 32-30, come on. That's not good coaching.
35 total turnovers from Jameis Winston in 2019. And I think you're right about Tampa. And everyone's going crazy because Leonard Fournette signing. And yeah, Leonard Fournette's a pretty good running back. No one's disputing that. He's a good football player. But I think Tampa has become the most overrated and overhyped team in the NFL. It's by a country mile. To me, this is a 9-7 football team.
It's the 2011 super team Eagles with Vince Young that went 7-9.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the New England Patriots play football last season, man. Tom Brady was not Tom Brady. We weren't watching Tom Brady play football. We were watching whatever was left of Tom Brady, and it is not a lot. And I like the weapons in Tampa. They have weapons everywhere. They have 3 starting caliber tight ends. They've got 2 starting caliber running backs. They've got 2 of the top 10 or 12 receivers in the league. The front seven's really good. The secondary is young, but it's coming along. That's a good roster. But what is the only difference you're getting in quarterback right now is you're getting less arm talent, but more control in terms of turnovers. That's why I think you get an uptick in wins for sure by default because Jameis Winston isn't giving the ball up 35 times. Where are you going to get turnovers out of Tom Brady? Maybe 12 max? He doesn't turn the football over.
I don't even think you could say 12, honestly. I mean, really, 10 might be the most, like, because really, him and Aaron Rodgers, like, 4 or 5 interceptions is a lot for those guys, and a couple of fumbles is a lot. You know what I mean? So, like, if I had to have the over-under on 9.5 turnovers for Tom Brady, I would take the under. Total. Like, you know, like, that's honest. But, again, it's a guy, like you said, less arm talent, more control, but a complete square peg in a round hole for what the system of how that control is used and how he wants to run his offense with the weapons he has. They want to go 9-9-9 down the field. Jameis Winston had 30 interceptions because he would go 9-9 down, but he wasn't accurate enough or on time, you know, enough to make and it would get interception. Tom can't. He can't do that, and so that's where I feel like the disconnect is going to be. And Bruce Arians is fiery. Belichick is a calm asshole, right? Like, let's be real. Like, he's an asshole.
He'll get you with very quiet words.
Right. That's not Bruce Arians. I over under on 2 blow-ups, Arians versus Tom Brady in the season. I'll take the over.
Smash the over. You smash the over on that.
The over.
I don't understand how someone could look at another human being in the face and say Tampa can beat New Orleans for this division. Have you seen the New Orleans Saints? That's a good football team.
They are a good football team, but I'm sorry if I had to take my choice of between what's left in Tom Brady and what's left in Drew Brees. I'll take Tom Brady 8 times a week and twice on Sundays. The best of Drew Brees happened 2 years ago, that thumb injury and his age, and he didn't have the arm talent that Tom had in the first place. They took him off the field in the playoffs, Tim, every time. He threw a 40-yard pass. It was supposed to be 47 yards, and he was 7 yards short, and he's lucky it didn't get intercepted, okay? And then the next 3 times they wanted to do that, they took him off the field for a third-string gadget quarterback who completed it with ease.
We will get into Taysom Hill many times this season, and I think we're going to get into him in a couple minutes as well. But I'll finish off the Tampa Bay discussion with this. I see what you're saying with Drew Brees, but I'm noticing a pattern with Drew Brees. His arm is giving out in December. I know for the first couple weeks of the season, Drew Brees is Drew Brees still. I think he doesn't have what's left in his arm to continue through a whole season, but I think by December they'll have the division locked up.
And it all depends on the Kamara thing too, who wants money and is holding out, which my pick in our fantasy league of the handcuff for him is looking mighty smart now. Thank you very much. And I also have, and I think that's absolutely right about him. The way they play also is a lot of get the ball to Michael Thomas at the line of scrimmage or within 5 yards and let him just do his thing, or run crossing routes where guys can get open and Drew can deliver a lob pass, on time and in rhythm and let his guys do the rest. They don't depend on him as much, but like you stated, the later in the season, the more dependent you are on the talent of your quarterback, and that's when he gets exposed for his lack thereof.
And speaking of Kamara, I think it blew up during the week. It was Saints are looking to deal Kamara. Yeah. And now it looks like everyone has calmed down a little bit. Kamara's back in the building. He's practicing. But at the end of the day, he still wants to get paid. And I am the biggest proponent of saying the salary cap don't exist, folks. Well, I hate to break it, but for the New Orleans Saints, it exists. It's real. And it's a big, scary monster because they're projected to have about negative $50 million in salary cap room next year. Negative $50 million. If I have negative $50 million, the last thing I'm thinking about doing is paying a running back. And I like Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is really good. Latavius Murray is good too. I'm fine with Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara's role. You have to pick where to take your losses when you're so cap-strapped, and the cap's going to take a hit. And I think that loss is Kamara. Now, I don't know. I think the only reason he's not traded right now is because they didn't like the value they got because other teams are understanding these guys are desperate. We're going to try and rob them blind.
Yeah. That's the way this business is. Now, here's my thing about Kamara, right? I look at Kamara and I look at Aaron Jones, for example, just because I feel like they're both players of similar skill set, and they're not super fast, right? They're quick, but they're not super fast. So I think their skill set, when I look at them just as players, are similar. I feel like the only reason Kamara is considered a better back is because, yes, of his production, his numbers, but it's because he was given opportunities. Aaron Jones had 48 receptions, was the number 2 receiver with 48 receptions behind Devontae Adams last year, and literally, as a Packer analyst, did not get those opportunities in all 16 games. He got those opportunities in, I think, 8 or less games and put up those kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and so to me, is Kamara a product of opportunities in a system that's willing to feature him? And that's why they are not like, he's not a premier talent. The same way Aaron Jones isn't going to get a deal if he doesn't sign a super team-friendly deal. You know what I mean? Like, because they look at him and say, like, all it is with you is if we give you the opportunities, your talent can get there, but you're not a guy that if we only gave you the ball 10 times, you can still get 100 yards the way an Ezekiel Elliott possibly can, or, like a Joe Mixon or a Delvin Cook, who is injury prone, but clearly a better running back talent prospect as an athlete, right? Is that something that you think is insane if I say that?
No, and I think the big thing with Alvin Kamara is he's looking at the Saints and he's been like, you've taken care of everybody else. You are paying a flex quarterback almost $22 million. Why can't you take care of me? I just don't think the Saints are going to take care of him. And the report just came out. They're looking at signing Jadeveon Clowney now. The Saints understand their window. Everything is going into 2020 because Drew Brees ain't going to be here in 2021. And I think Alvin Kamara is not going to be there in 2021.
Do you think he's there until the trade deadline so that you get teams that are more willing to give up that? Like, kind of like I feel like he's one of those players that you hang on to, let him be productive, hope he doesn't get injured, and you deal him before the trade deadline because his value to a team that is desperate for an asset and a name, right? Even if it's not a good team, you're going to get more for him than, like you said, trying to trade him now where everybody's looking at you like, you're desperate. Like, that feels like the story here is that the story goes away, everybody thinks it's swept under the carpet, and then all of a sudden he's just dealt, and you're like, what the hell just happened? But it's because that's what the plan was the whole time.
I think the Saints are going to want to get more value out of Kamara. Last year we saw the Dolphins traded Kenyon Drake for a conditional 5th-round pick. So that's got to be the floor because Kenyon Drake is not near the running back Alvin Kamara is.
Yes.
But at the same time, if the Saints are seeing we're getting 4th-round picks, we're not trading Alvin Kamara. We're going to let him walk, and we're going to get a compensatory 3rd-round pick in 2022.
Okay, speaking of walking, then we're talking about running backs. What do you do in Minnesota with Dalvin Cook? Because like I just stated, he's clearly one of the best talents to play running back, but he's got a health issue. When he's on the field and healthy, he warrants the amount of pay that he's going to ask, but the amount of games he misses puts you in another one of those, like Derwin James. It's GM nightmare, Tim. What's your take on him?
If I'm the Vikings, I can't justify giving Dalvin Cook an extension. There's no justification for doing it. Like we talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago. Kirk Cousins' cap hit is $45 million coming up.
And they're going to have to restructure that to make sure that they have money for other people again. They're going to do this cap pushback for years with him.
You just signed Yannick Ngakoue to an extension. You've got Harrison Smith on the books. You've got Adam Thielen on the books. You're going to have to do a contract with Danielle Hunter, who is absolutely a priority over Dalvin Cook. He's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. That's like I said with the Saints, there's going to have to be losses somewhere, and running back is the easiest candidate, and Dalvin Cook's a real good football player. But he's never healthy. Ever. And Alexander Madison behind him is a good running back.
Yeah, and he actually showed flashes last year of being very capable, again, if you give him the opportunities. So we got 2 guys that we say aren't going to get paid and are going to be gone. But then there's a 3rd guy that we talk about their team because of the quarterback. He actually got paid, and he is healthy, and he is productive, and yet the team sucks. So how do we view that, Tim?
I think the theme of today's show, along with running backs, is me going against everything I've ever said in previous shows. Today I said the salary cap is real, and for the first time almost ever, I am okay with a team paying a running back because I look at the life cycle this team is in. You've got 5 cheap years of Joe Burrow. Just for the sake of argument, let's say Joe Burrow is what we expect him to be. He's a good quarterback. You've got 5 cheap years of your supposed good quarterback, and then you've got a 4-year extension for Joe Mixon. By the time you're even in the train of thought of getting ready for Joe Burrow's monster deal, Joe Mixon's out the door. You're paying Joe Mixon while you're not paying your quarterback, so it's okay. Joe Mixon, another running back, a really good football player, he's actually been healthy for the most part. He was able to get 1,000 total yards behind second worst offensive line in the league, and the only reason they were second is because my Miami Dolphins had a historically bad offensive line. But any other year, that Cincinnati line, worse in the NFL by a mile. And Joe Mixon was able to produce after they had like a meeting. The coaches had a meeting mid-season. They decided we're going to scrap this Sean McVay zone-type running system because we don't have the horses to do it on the offensive line. They changed to a type of power gap running scheme, and Joe Mixon flourished. So I think it's okay to pay Joe Mixon right now when Burrow's cheap because you don't want to leave Joe Burrow without talent on offense. We saw at LSU. When was he at his best? He was getting guys going after the catch. Guys were making good catches. I like their receiving core. I'm not crazy about the tight end room, but Joe Mixon can really help take the burden off of Burrow early in his career, especially with a bad offensive line.
See, now I don't believe what you just said is going against your philosophy. I think there's exceptions to all rules, no matter what your rule is and how confident and, concise you are in following that rule. There's still exceptions to it, and the biggest exception is exactly what you just said, so I agree with what you said, because that is the only time if you have – it's the Minnesota Vikings. You kept paying Adrian Peterson because you kept having to cycle through running backs, right? So through quarterbacks. So it's like you had to keep somebody there to keep the offense going with these young quarterbacks. So there was a justification. You were still paying less by paying your young quarterback and Adrian Peterson, who is a Hall of Fame talent at that position, than you would have been by paying just the quarterback had you hit on one, right? So there is the exception to the rule. I subscribe to the same rule of running backs. It's been proven over and over again. The guys that get paid are shipped out on their 3rd year. Gurley, cut. David
His
Johnson,
contract didn't even start.
Yeah,
they didn't start the Todd Gurley contract, and he already got cut. They took probably the biggest dead cap hit of all time.
Right. Le'Veon Bell, they wouldn't even consider signing him, and I bet you he gets cut after this year, 3rd year, right? Like, it's just
Absolutely.
it's the history shows, and it's not because they're not talented, it's because it's like you just said, that there's too many important positions that prove you have to have premier talent to be able to compete year in and year out at those positions where you must invest your dollars. It's been proven running back's not one of those nowadays. It's just not. You can find them year in and year out, all through all different rounds of the draft and even free agents. And if you can't find even one really good one, you can get away. Like, look at who the hell was the running backs literally that came from that San Francisco used? They used 4 of them. The 2 they paid were injured, by the way. The 2 really good ones were both injured. And the other 4 that got them to where they were going just were constant. Like, you didn't know which one was coming in when, who was going to have the big game. They were a nightmare as fantasy plays, right? Like, so it doesn't matter about the running back. It's the last important position. And I love running backs. It hurts my heart to say that, but it's just the truth. It's just the way it works out. Sad but true.
And I think Cincinnati is especially comfortable taking this hit because it's not just quarterback. Look at the three most expensive positions in football. Quarterback, they have a rookie. Left tackle, second-year player. Edge rusher, they have two nice edge rushers, but those guys aren't getting Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett money when it's time to come up. So they're not paying a premium player. So they can afford to give Joe Mixon $12, $13 million for the next 3 to 4 years. It won't affect them at all.
No. And they're going to need it because otherwise they're still not going to have any winning seasons. Let's just be clear about that.
We have become the anti-Joe Burrow podcast.
Well, you and I think that's the one thing we agreed on immediately was we are the outliers on the Joe Burrow. When we watch Joe Burrow, we both immediately look and go, "What are you seeing? Why? What are you seeing?" Because I'm either blind, hit my head, or I'm missing something because I'm not seeing what you're hyping up. And then when I argue with you, and I give you all the reasons and point out all the obvious things in the highlight reels that you've sent me, then your counter argument is moxie. Like I'm lost on this one. Like
moxie and confidence, baby. It's all you need to be a good quarterback.
I don't know, man. All right. What about more running backs? We've got Bell versus Adam Gase this year, and in Chicago, the Montgomery injury. Which one do you want to go to next?
As a Dolphins fan, we have to talk about Adam Gase.
Okay,
and
Adam Gase.
I want to like Adam Gase. I really want to like Adam Gase. I liked Adam Gase when he was in Miami, but I don't. I have a theory about head coaches. Hope you're ready to hear it.
I'm ready.
You could be a good coach, but not have head coach traits. I think Adam Gase would be a really good quarterback coach, an excellent quarterback coach, but he does not have the ability to form relationships with 53 players, and he hates loud vocal players. He did not like Jarvis Landry. He did not like Jay Ajayi. He wasn't too thrilled about having Le'Veon Bell, and now him and Le'Veon Bell are at it again. He says Le'Veon Bell's injured. Le'Veon Bell says he's not injured. So I think this is going to be, once again, an absolute train wreck with the New York Jets. It's going to be fun to watch in their division.
Do you remember Al Saunders back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s?
I wasn't alive in the late 90s, Jay.
Okay. Well, okay, so here it is. Like, he was what you're talking about. He was a guy that everywhere he went as an offensive coordinator, he would transform offenses. They would be prolific. They'd put up great numbers. Everybody wanted him. But if you put him as a head coach, like he was just like, what the hell is he thinking? Adam Gase is a great offensive coordinator. Think of the places he's been an offensive coordinator, the way those offenses gone. The opening press conference when he became a Jets head coach should have told you all you needed to know about his ability to handle the pressure of a head coaching position, right? Like, the body language was all you needed to look at to say this guy is over his skis in what he just took on. Sorry, he is exactly what you described.
I think another guy like that is Josh McDaniels. If you read the reports that came out of Josh McDaniels in Denver, because he was such a young head coach, he felt the need to flex his muscles at every turn. And he kind of forced that Tim Tebow pick on everybody. I think Josh McDaniels is going to go down as like the most accomplished offensive coordinator of all time in terms of scoring, consistency, wins as an offensive coordinator. But he was a horrible head coach. And I think when Adam Gase gets fired in New York, he's going to be – he might not get an offensive coordinator job right away because his resume is going to look really bad, 2 straight failures. But he'll get a quarterback coaching job for a young quarterback, and he'll make him look really good, and then he'll probably get another offensive coordinator job.
That's usually how this goes sometimes. If you go the path of that, you get knocked down not one tier, but sometimes a couple, and then it just takes one successful stint to kind of level you. But it's kind of like you're being scorned by the NFL inner circle, like, nope, shame on you. You did it twice. You have to go over to this circle. No, you can't go to the kiddie pool. You've got to go to the ankle pool over there. and prove that you won't pee in the pool before we'll let you back in the kiddie pool, right? You still can't come to the adult section. Sorry. So that's just the way it goes.
We've both got experiences with this guy. Joe Philbin was another guy that I feel had these same traits, but in a different direction. Adam Gase can't get along with players. Joe Philbin just can't relate to players. Players don't respect Joe Philbin as a head coach.
Absolutely the wrong take on that. What was wrong with Joe? What was wrong with Joe Philbin? Absolutely, and I got to see it again because he was the interim head coach for 5 games in Green Bay at the end. And what the problem with him is not that players don't respect him. They respect him, but on a friend level, not a coaching level. He's everybody's friend. So they're not. It's not that they don't respect him. It's that like their respect or the way they treat and interact with him is not like a dad or a parent. It's like their buddy that they want to go have some beers with, and so like he's not an authoritative guy where he's going to yell at you and whip you into line. He's like the, come on guys, let's do kids. Why? He's that guy in the friend group that's like the one in the back that's always like, but guys, why can't we just go bowling? Like everybody likes to go bowling. Why? Like we all like to bowl. Let's just bowl. And everybody else is like, no, man, we want to bowl tonight. And he's like, but we always have fun when we go bowling, guys. That was Joe Philbin's problem. And he also made the fatal mistake of, I think if Joe Philbin would have taken Matt Flynn as his quarterback, who had proven in Green Bay the year prior, and that he could run that offense efficiently enough to win games, and would have gave him time to build, a young premier quarterback and a roster around it while still winning games so that you're not on the hot seat, I think things would have been much better. He would have been able to build a better culture for you guys down there. I think he made the mistake there, Tim, is not wanting to say, almost feeling like, I took him because of nepotism, and then he was trying to prove something by taking other quarterbacks, and it just didn't work because they never fit into his system. Joe had many downfalls, but the players like not respecting him in a negative manner was not one of them.
I agree with what you said. It's more of they don't respect him as a coach. They like him as a guy. But the way the Bullygate transpired in 2012, 2013, pretty much allowing Richie Incognito to take over that locker room and allowing this to become such a spectacle and distraction for the team, on top of the fact that you had a rookie quarterback who was still learning to play the position, who had not leadership questions, but by the end of his tenure in Miami, Ryan Tannehill kind of isolated himself for the rest of the roster. Players believed that everyone else got held accountable. Ryan Tannehill didn't. Joe Philbin did not manage the Bullygate situation like a head coach should have managed it.
And that's because he couldn't go into that locker room and do things that a normal head coach in that situation, when he got wind of it, walks in there and like rips people up and down. From quarterback to 65th guy on the practice, or 50, 60, you know what I mean? Like just lights him up. You walk in, you kick the door open, you throw shit around, you start screaming, and you all want to act like idiots. We're all grown men, and you get there then that ends it. The way Joe Philbin walked in there was, again, like that friend in the back, like, guys, we can't be bowling each other. Like, we're all teammates. You shouldn't be yelling at each other. Like, that's not appropriate. Can't we just stop this behavior? Yeah, and they're like, yeah, okay, Joe. And then they turn around and be like, yeah, that guy's an idiot. Yeah, you're an idiot. And things just kept, like, it's like they respect him enough not to disrespect him in his face, kind of like your kids do, like my kids do. But the minute I walk out of the room, if I have to turn around because I forget something, guess what? My daughter is in 2 seconds goes from I'm in bed to she thinks I went down the stairs but didn't hear me have to come back up, and she's right back out of bed on her computer because she's not going to disrespect me and tell me she's not getting off her computer, but she thinks she's going to be slick about breaking the rules, right? And that's what happened with the Bullygate with Joe Philbin.
Yeah, they saw right through Joe Philbin. That was a team that had Randy Starks and Paul Soliai and Mike Pouncey, Incognito, Cameron Wake, Carlos Dansby, because veterans everywhere. And I don't think that Joe Philbin was the right head coach for a veteran football team. But enough about Joe Philbin before we just go into a Dolphin show.
Well, hey,
the last running back topic we have is going back to the Bears with David Montgomery. He has an injury. I think it's a lower body injury. I'm not sure. Do you know what it is?
It's not serious. It's like an ankle twist or an MCL slight sprain or something. It's not something that's going to hold him out for a long period of time. Maybe the first week or two, but not something they need to worry about long term.
I think the thing that people are talking about is using Cordero Patterson at running back for a little bit, which I think is the way to go, because I like Tariq Cohen as a complementary back. But a team like Chicago, with all these questions at quarterback, they need to run the football, and they need to run the football well if they want to have a chance to win. And David Montgomery was going to be that lead back, and I don't think Tariq Cohen can take 22 carries in a game with 6 or 7 targets. So I think Cordero Patterson is heavy.
Yeah, and I actually thought, honestly, out of all the teams, I thought that the Bears would have been bigger on the Fournette deal, just because they really don't have that surefire number 2. Cohen's more of your third down receiving scat guy, right, that you can use on all 3 downs, but you really don't want to be lining him up too much and just saying, here's the ball, find a hole, go. Like, he's 5'7". I think he might outweigh me by 5 or 10 pounds, and I'm 165. Like, okay, like, and I think I'm 5'8". So, like, we're relatively the same dude. He's just really fast. I'm not carrying the ball 10 times and lasting very long in the NFL. I'm sorry. I'm a tough ass, but real. It's just your body can't take that shit. I'm sorry.
He's a guy you want to get in space.
Right.
You don't want him lining up in the I formation and pounding it down the middle.
And they don't have a secondary, even Cordell Patterson. He reminds me of Ty Montgomery. Everybody goes, "Oh, we had 165 yards." Yeah, and then he had 3 straight games with 16 carries and 22 yards. He's not a running back either.
I think they can survive with Patterson.
They could, but that's why I was surprised they weren't more into the Fournette thing, because I think Fournette would have been a great 1-2 punch going forward, at least for the next year or two, with Montgomery, and then you could make a decision. Is Montgomery a guy, or you could at least have a draft and go get another guy that you liked. So that surprised me. We got a few minutes left, so let's quickly get into it, just because it's the hot topic right now. It's what's going on with the NBA playoffs. So let's just have you. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I'll let you run through it, because you did do your rundown, and I do want to get to it, because the NBA playoffs are going on, and we do cover all sports on this show, even though we mainly talk NFL.
How about that Miami Heat, Jay? I told you a couple weeks ago, we're coming for the East. They're coming for the East.
Giannis is there. Giannis, I was talking about this with Anna. It's disappointing that they're doing what Ted Thompson did to Aaron Rodgers to Giannis. Yep, we're good. Run it back, and then the same results. Get to somewhere where you got a guy like Kawhi Leonard last year gets on fire, and Giannis doesn't have enough help. You get this year, and he's the defensive player of the year, probably back-to-back MVPs. And, everybody thinks, we pick him to go to the finals. And then they run into a team with a guy like Jimmy Butler on it, who's on fire and is lit a fire under all the rest of his teammates' asses, and they're playing out of their damn minds. And your team, with the guys you ran it back with, same results. And I feel like Giannis's agents are going to get to him, and the Milwaukee Bucks are once again going to go into their second NBA purgatory that they just went through with Ray Allen, from Ray Allen trade to lucking into Giannis at 17 overall.
I think Miami's a really bad matchup for Milwaukee, because Miami's got some dogs. They have some junkyard dogs. They don't care what anybody thinks. They don't care who picked them and who didn't pick them. This team is Pat Riley through and through. He has his imprints all over this team. And Milwaukee just strikes me as a softer team. They like to play in transition. They don't like playing half-court basketball. And when you play against the Heat, you're going to have to play some half-court basketball, and you're going to need to make your outside shots because they're not going to let Giannis just bully them on the inside. And when it comes to Giannis's playoff reputation, I think he's following a really similar arc as LeBron James did in his early years, where he's one of the best players in the league, he's winning MVPs, but Cleveland's not getting over the hump. Small market guy or small market team. Giannis is on a small market team in Milwaukee. They either have to win the championship this year or next year, or I think Giannis is out the door. And I know the speculation's already starting with Miami, New York, Golden State, but I think Giannis would leave for a big market team if they don't win a championship in the next 2 years.
I absolutely believe it, because look at what happened to LeBron James. And my suggestion, I guess, from looking at on the outside in is, if you and this is just for hyperbole, let's say this, okay? Because I like what the kind of what you laid down right there in the comparison. So if we play this in hyperbole, Tim, if you look at what the mistake Cleveland didn't do with LeBron James in this scenario, and what the Bucks aren't doing but need to do, is you need 3-and-D guys. You don't need guys that are 10-foot jump shooters or paint protectors or what, because they just get in Giannis's way the way that they got in LeBron's way in the time period you're speaking of. When did LeBron finally start to win? Guys like Ray Allen, and you know what I mean, like
Shane Battier, baby.
Right, that were on the outside hanging out. They didn't clog the middle. Even dang it, why can't I think of his name? The third of the big three, Chris
Bosh.
Chris Bosh. He was a guy that was 3-and-D, even as a 4-5 dude, swing 4-5 guy. You know, like he still did not clog the lane up and get LeBron's way. He could sit out on the perimeter and nail 3-point shots as a 6'10", 7-footer. You know, like that's what Milwaukee must do if they're going to get over the hump. Because right now, Middleton and Brogdon and all these guys that want to dribble and come in and pull up from 11 and be running pick and rolls down near the paint, they're just in Giannis's way. And then they're not good enough 3-point shooters where when they do set up the offense like that, he kicks it out to them and they're not nailing those shots. And so it's very easy to just hyper-focus on Giannis, and the rest of the team just doesn't seem to show up enough to help him. And it is frustrating to watch because it doesn't seem like it's rocket science to figure out what team to build around Giannis and his skill set. And like I said, they just keep, let's run it back.
I think Milwaukee's trying to zig when everyone else is zagging. We saw it with Golden State. We saw it with the early iterations of that Heat team before guys started taking less money to play with LeBron and D. Wade and Chris Bosh. Depth is kind of overrated in the NBA, and Milwaukee's got a lot of depth. They've got a superstar, and they've got 3 guys that could be the second or third best player on a really good team. It's time to package 2 of those guys in a draft pick and go get another guy who can go get you 30 points. Bradley Beal was wasting all of his talent in Washington. Go call Washington and go get Bradley Beal. We've learned that you need a superstar and another superstar. This Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, Brook Lopez thing, it's not making any sense.
Nope. No. And the rest of those guys just need to be hell, you had Miller at the end of his career, 3-and-D guy. You had Cole and what was the other point guard that you spent? Chamberlain. 3-and-D
Mario
guys.
Chalmers.
Or Chalmers, yeah, Chalmers. 3-and-D guys, right? You bring in Ray Allen at the end of his career, where all he really was interested in, he didn't want to run all over the court, but he'd play defense and would sit at the 3-point shot and smoke them. And it worked, right? Like, even when they weren't successful, it's really because LeBron didn't come through in those moments in those early years in Miami when those were his moments to take the game, right? And when you did win, it's because the other guys were still doing their thing, but LeBron finally broke his little threshold, right, of whatever was holding him back mentally in those moments, because it wasn't physical talent, no matter what anybody wanted to say. It was a mental barrier that he had to break through and overcome with his own game and confidence or whatever the hell, and then you win. nobody else really, once they found that formula in Miami that really seemed to work consistently, the only thing that was a difference in them winning or losing those championships really was LeBron James in clutch situations.
Yeah, and in the modern NBA, you only have to go 8 deep, maybe 9 in the playoffs. Milwaukee's got 10 guys who can contribute, but let's take 3 of them. Let's send it to Washington. Let's get Bradley Beal, who's coming off of a 30-point-per-game season, and let's take pressure off of our superstar.
Yeah, and they're 10, 11 guys that will get you 10, 12 points. You know what I mean? Like, once in a while they might break 20, but for the most part they're 15 and 10 guys. They're double-double guys, but low-end double-double guys. And like you said, when you have a roster full of them, that's not enough. Because when they're all, they all have to be on fire in the same game at the same time to equal the amount of production that second superstar you're saying package and go get can do. And when you have that second superstar, it makes it easier for those other role players to play their role, right? Like, I think you're absolutely right. This is proven over a test of time in the NBA. It is a minimal 2-superstar league now, and you just can't do it anymore. Hell, I don't even know if you can say it's a modern thing. Scottie Pippen was a hell of a number 2. But I mean, you know what I mean?
MVP candidate when Jordan was gone.
And Jordan did not win without Scottie Pippen. So, like, I think maybe it's even older than we want to give it credit for when you really look at the history of the NBA. Final words, Tim.
Just going back to Milwaukee, it's proven when you are a contending team and veteran players that are free agents believe you can win titles, they will come and play for you for less money and play less minutes. Like Ray Allen. Boston offered Ray Allen twice as much money as Miami offered him. But he says, hey, whatever, I'll go come off the bench in Miami and win a championship. That would happen with Milwaukee if veteran players in the league believed that Giannis had a co-star that was worthy of coming to take less money for.
Yes, absolutely. Love it tonight, Tim. Great job, man. You got anything else to say, or was that it for you tonight?
Nope, I'm good. Looking forward to Game 3 tomorrow.
Yes, I've been trying to watch that, but, they've been on TNT a lot, and I don't have TNT. So, kind of irritating. I've actually gotten back into that.
I think the Eastern Conference plays mostly on TNT in the playoffs.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten to watch as much as that as I wanted to. But I've been checking out the Western Conference playoffs on ESPN. So, all right, we are out of here. That's the show. Hit Tim up on the Twitter at Tim C. Rodriguez. Even though Brett had to work overtime tonight, hit him up on the Twitter at Brett Lagasse. I am at UPJ33. You can follow the show on the Twitter at Network Brawl, and don't forget to give us some love on the website thebrawlnetwork.com. Go there, sign up for free. It's your one-stop shop. The Brawl has it all, baby. And don't forget to give them some love on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching Network Brawl. Love you all. We'll be back again tomorrow night with Kyle and Micah on Friday night. Peace out. Much love.
Now look me in the eyes and put your hand in mine. Forever's about to happen right here in this moment of time. So let's draw a line right here in the sand, and let me say that on this very day is the day that we took a stand. Cause not just a game, it's more than a game, it's more than the hurt, it's more than the pain, it's more than the glory, it's more than the fame. This right here is about legacy, man, so it's bigger than me, it's bigger than us. We can lose sight in the midst of the fuss, let's slow it down and take it in. Enjoy this moment, what's the rush? They wanted back, but we wanted more. This is what we've been waiting for. With tears in our eyes, we let our hearts roar. Unleash war when we walk out this door, we won't be delayed, we won't be denied. In the end, we won't refuse with clear eyes, a full heart.